Hello, my name is Scott Shifflett. I'm the bass player of Face to Face, and this is my anecdote. A few years back, well, more than a few, we were on tour somewhere through the Midwest when the fan on our bus broke, ripped through a bunch of the important hydraulic cables, and basically stopped our bus dead in the tracks. Now, we had a long way to go. We had a day drive to get to Lake Tahoe, where we were supposed to join up with the Warped Tour. It was a long enough drive that the bus company sent an extra driver out because legally bus drivers can only drive so long before they are legally obligated to get some rest. So we had a guy we didn't really know out with us. So now we're stuck. I think it was Grand Forks or Grand Island, Nebraska, something weird like that. And what happens is we take a cab to a local airstrip, and there's just a small prop plane out there, basically. The kind of place where the same guy that tickets your bag and gives you, tickets you and checks your bag is also the pilot. So this guy, we all walk out, we climb into the plane. Basically, it's one row on each side of the plane with one seat in the back that has 3 seats. I go all the way to the back and I lay flat because I figure I'll just lay down for this whole thing. Everyone gets on board, and then Trevor walks in and he looks down the plane and goes, "I am not getting on this flight." And he just steps right off. And immediately our tour manager says, "Well, someone needs to stay with Trevor," and he gets off too. Well, I've seen that movie where the one guy or whatever gets off, they live to tell the tale how they survived. So I get up and I bolt out of the plane as well. I'm not gonna fly in this rickety, tiny jet or plane. So we then proceed to take a cab 2 hours to Omaha, Nebraska to take a large commercial jetliner. The other guys had this cab driver on the way to Omaha. They knew he was a talkative dude, so they jump in the back seat and pretend to be asleep. I have to hear stories about how the guy's cousin was Timothy D. Schmidt of the Eagles and what a good dude he was for 2 hours, which was perfectly all right, I guess. So we get to the airport and we get on our plane and we are hauling down the runway. Suddenly the engines go dead and the plane basically just rumbles off into a nearby field and kind of circles back around to the beginning of the runway. The pilot says over the intercom something to the effect of, just something wrong with the hydraulic gauge, but I'm sure it's okay. Let's give it another try." And he guns down the runway. Well, anyone that knows anything about airplanes knows that hydraulics are what keep those things moving and afloat up there, which I'm terrified of flying. So now I'm just scared witless. And we managed to fly all the way out there. We land there, we get two different vans to get us and all of our crap out to the Warped Tour site. So now basically we're sitting out amongst all the other tour buses, just sitting on all our stuff because we don't have a vehicle. And a buddy of mine happened to be staying. It was 4th of July weekend at Lake Tahoe. So he had a cabin on the other side of the lake. He says, "Why don't you come on and hang out and we'll go see the wolf." He had a half Malamute wolf hybrid that was my dearest friend. Wolfie, love her to death, God rest her soul. So we ride in his car all the way around Lake Tahoe. We're not at his place 5 minutes before we're going, all right, we should probably get back. Well, it's 4th of July weekend at Lake Tahoe. There's one freaking road that circumnavigates the lake, so there's no alternate routes. We get stuck in 4th of July weekend traffic, and we sit, and we sit, and we sit. I'm watching my set time come and go. I'm just freaking out that we've gone through all this trouble to get to a show that we're now missing. So I finally, we're inching back and we get close enough for me to just get out and start running to the festival site. So we get there and all I find is that the show's done. My boys are all looking at me like I'm the biggest ass that ever walked the planet. Apparently, in my absence, they kept moving our equipment from stage to stage in the hopes that I would show up, and I never did. So we never played that day. Now, the mood in the van is awfully sour as we drive to San Francisco for the next day's show. we pull up right behind the stage we're supposed to play on. And just as we get out of the van and shut all the doors, we realize we've locked all the keys in or whatever. And now all our gear's in the van. We're locked out of the van just as a stage guy comes up and starts yelling at us how we're not allowed to park there or something to that effect. And, you know, it's been such a long and harried weekend, not to mention the overdriver of the bus, once he realized the gig was through, pulled a gun on our regular driver. We weren't there for that, but it just makes the story more colorful knowing that stuff was going down in our absence. In the heat of that moment, Trevor looks around and finds a section of rebar just laying on the ground, picks it up and smashes the window out on the van so we could get our stuff. We managed to pull our gear out and play a magnificent set that day down at the pier for all the lovely folks of San Francisco. I think we chalked it up to the insurance company that the van had been broken into. But my name is Scott Shifflett. I play bass for Face to Face, and that's my anecdote.